So this is what we're going to do this morning. I'm just going to talk about these 4 words: come, take, learn, and rest. And it's all from a very well-known Bible passage, which says, this is what it said. It says, Jesus said, "Come to me, all of you who are weary and heavy burdened, and I will give you rest." He says, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And then you will find rest for your soul." So that's what we're going to do this morning. We're just going to take each word separately and hopefully put it all back together at the end. So I'm just talking about the first word there, come. This is what Jesus says to us this morning. He says, come. And he says it to all of you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. If you go to sleep thinking about something and worrying about something, and then you wake up in the morning and it's almost the first thing you start thinking about and worrying about when you wake up, and you think about it during the day, then that's what we're talking about. We're talking about a burden. We're talking about something that weighs you down and you don't seem to be able to get any relief from it. That's what we're talking about this morning. And Jesus says this. He says, come to me. Come to me. He offers you his hand to help you carry that burden. And he says, I will give you rest. So he offers his hand this morning and he says, come. But it's an invitation, and it's something that you have to respond to. It's something you have to put your hand in his, as it were, and you have to respond to his invitation to come. It's an invitation, as I say, and it's got RSVP on it. You have to respond. You have to say, yes, I'm taking up your invitation. I want to take your assistance. And he says this to everyone who is weary. Come to me, all you who are weary. So what is it you're carrying? Are you carrying worry? Oops. Are you carrying worries, cares, troubles, shame, bitterness, anger, hatred, loneliness, inferiority, disappointments, or whatever? Whatever it is, Jesus says, come. Just come, just as you are. Come with all of your troubles, and I will give you rest. Now, what about this? What about if you've came once and you found rest and relief, but then you went back out on your own and you've got all burdened again? Can you come back again? Will God allow you to come back? And I think, this is the way most Christians live. They come to Jesus to get rest. They come to get his assistance, and he solves the problem for them. But then they enjoy a time of peace and time where they're not worried about anything. So they don't rely on the Lord quite in the same way. And it's not long before they've got all burdened down again with other cares and worries. But however many times you've come back, then yes, you can come back again. How do I know? Well, do you remember this? When Peter asked Jesus, Lord, how often should I forgive my brother who sinned against me? How often should I forgive him? Maybe up to 7 times, do you think? And Jesus said to him, I do not say to you up to 7 times, but up to 70 times 7. In other words, just keep on forgiving. Keep on forgiving him. So God doesn't expect us to do that unless he would do the same. And yes, he will do the same for you too. He will allow you to come and to get rest and to accept his invitation, even if you've messed up yet again, Even if it's the same thing and you're coming back again, he will forgive you and he will allow you to come back. Do you remember the prodigal son? When finally he came to his senses, he says, oh, I'm going to go home to my father. I'll be better off there than I am here. Even if I'm just go back as a servant, I'll be better off. So he starts on his way home, doesn't he? He decides to come to his senses and go home. So God is waiting for you to come to your senses and accept his invitation this morning. Accept his invitation to come to him. Every day, the father was looking out for his son. Maybe today he's coming back. Maybe today he'll arrive. And there was that one day, wasn't there, when he saw him on the horizon and it looked a bit like his son. He wasn't too sure. And as he got a bit closer, he recognized the way he was walking. He said, yeah, that's my son. And he ran after him to greet him. And that's how God will accept you back too. He runs to greet you. He sees you on the way coming to him and he greets you too. And he says, you are my son. Jesus, every day, Jesus goes out looking for the lost sheep. And he says, come to me. This is amazing, isn't it? Jesus actually goes out to find you. He actually goes out to find the lost sheep. And he says, come to me. Come to me this morning. This is what Jesus is saying. He's saying, come to me. And he says, take my yoke upon you and learn from me. Take it. This is the solution to not having to keep coming back and going round and round in circles, getting relief, getting burdened down again and then coming back again and again and again. This is what you're meant to do to avoid that. You're meant to take his yoke upon you. Take his yoke upon you. This is what a yoke looks like. It's something normally that two oxen would be joined together with. This is a piece of wood and the head goes through each part there, and they would plough the field together. And this is what Jesus is offering to you. He's saying, look, be yoked to me, joined to me. He says, come with me. I'll show you the way. When I turn, you turn. When I stay still, you stay still. When I move, you move. But it's a complete surrender of your will to mine. That's what it means to take his yoke upon you. Surrender your will to his will. When there's a decision to be made, say, Lord, what's your decision? What would you do? When there's something for you to make your mind up about, ask the Lord, what would you do? What would you do? I only want to do your will. I only want to do this your way. Surrender your will to him. So it's important for us to know who's saying it, isn't it? Who is saying, take my yoke? Well, we know it's Jesus, don't we? But who is Jesus? Who is Jesus? It says here, he is the image of the invisible God. He's the firstborn over all creation. For by him and through him all things were created that are in heaven and that are on earth, visible and invisible. Whether thrones or dominions or principalities or powers, all things were created through him and for him. And he is before all things, and in him all things consist. This is the Jesus that is offering you his yoke. This is the Jesus that is saying, come to me. This is the Jesus that is making the invitation this morning. He's the King of Kings. He's the Lord of Lords. He rules on high. He's the one who made the heavens and the earth. And he's saying, come to me. Come to me. Who wouldn't want to be yoked to the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords and the one who made the heavens and the earth? You can't get a better offer than this. To be yoked, to be joined together to God himself. Come to me, all you who are weary, and I will give you rest. Will you take his offer of his yoke? Will you surrender your will to him? This is what he offers you this morning. He is humble and he is gentle at heart. He knows what it's like to be human. He stepped out of his glory in heaven and came into this world. And he was tempted, as it says in this verse here, in every way, such as we are. He understands what it's like to be human. And he knows that we get into situations where we need to be rescued from. But if we ask for his wisdom, if we ask for his way, then he doesn't find fault. And he gives to us generously. Even though he is the King of Kings, he understands and doesn't find fault. And he says, come to me. This is an illustration that I thought of where Jesus is saying, come, all of you who are weary and heavy laden. Has any of you ever kind of checked into a hotel and you've got all your baggage in your hands like this? And they say, there you are, sir, there's your room door key, and it's on the 5th floor up there. But I'm sorry, the lift is out of order at the moment. So you got to carry it all up those stairs. Jesus says, come to me. I'll give you rest, because my way is easy. My burden is light. There you go. That's how he would do it. It's easy, not difficult. He can move it with this, with this. I'm not sure what you call it, but it carries all the luggage, and it's so easy. And that's exactly what it's like when Jesus offers you his help. He says, come to me, all of you who are weary and heavy laden, I will give you rest. Because my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And he says, learn from me. He says, look, I'm going to teach you the way. I'm going to show you how to do it. We're going to do this thing together. This is what he's saying. We're going to do life together. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to teach you how is best to do it. He says, after all, I am the way. I am the truth. And I am the life. I know the way. I know the way. And if you follow me, I'll show you. And together, nothing will be impossible. Come and learn from me. And let's walk together. I'm going to show you the way. So come. Accept his invitation. Take his yoke. Put his yoke on. Join yourself to the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. And learn from him. Let him show you the way. And then you will be able to come into the rest that God provides. It says, anyone who enters God's rest also rests from their work, just as God did from his. And so the verse here, it says, may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer. My God, who is my rock, in whom I take refuge. He is my shield and the horn of my salvation. He is my stronghold. He is a place of security and safety and of rest. I find rest, O my soul, in God alone. So this is the word this morning. Come to me, all of you who labour and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. So come, take, learn, and rest this morning. And this is what Jesus says. Now you've taken my yoke upon you. He says, okay, let's go on an adventure together. Now that we're yoked together, now that we're joined together, now that we're in sync with one another, let's go on a great adventure together, and nothing shall be impossible. Nothing shall be impossible. So when the mountain looks high, and the river looks deep, and the way looks rough, stick close to me, is what Jesus says this morning. Because my yoke is easy, and my burden is light, and I will give you rest. Let's pray.